Sopranos, right? And I was like, oh shit, you know, I thought a star was born. And then like in 98, 99, the phones went dead, right? The phones were completely dead. I couldn't book a job if you threw it at me, right? And so I remember my mom's, she ran a daycare in the projects where I'm from. And for 2000, the millennium, that Y2K New Year, she took the whole family to the Bahamas, where my mother's from, for a vacation for the New Year's. And she told me, yo, Mike, when we go back home, why don't you come work for the daycare? And I was like, bet. So I worked for my mother in the daycare all of 2000 up until October or November of 2001, right? I'm sitting in my crib. I was sitting
So,
there
Mike,
with
this is after you're already on TV.
Yes, sir. Yep.
You're on the Sopranos.
Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah, I was back in the projects working, and I was proud. I was like, yo, us is beat the blank, right? I'm proud of my mother. So we was doing that, but you know, I was still, something was calling me. I started, like, you know, I started dipping back to them narcotics. And one night, man, it was me, my cousin, and you know, Ruck from Smith and Weston, God bless the dead. Yeah, me, Ruck, and Sean Price, aka Sean Price. He was in my crib. You know, we doing playing chess, smoking weed, this, that, and the third, and we had the music on, and the TV was on mute, and the episode of Sopranos that I did came on, and I was like, oh shit. So I went back to my mother and I was like, Mom, you know, I think I should give this acting shit one more shot, right? Let me just get this one more shot. She said, what you need? I said, yo, let me spot me, you know, 10 racks. I gotta go get headshots again. I gotta put a reel together. I gotta buy a computer. You know, all these things I never had. And she gave it to me. And I put together this package and I sent it out for Christmas, right? I made a hit list of 10 people. Kedar
Massenberg.
Yep, Kedar was on there. Jimmy Roseman, he had the Henchman Entertainment at the time. I put Shakim Kapoor, Latifah's manager. I had Jackie Brown Carmen, she's a major casting. I had about 10 people, and I sent them out for Christmas presents. I was like, okay, Mike, you know, I said, January, the phone gonna start ringing. Man, February came, it wasn't nothing going on, man. I slipped into such a depression. You know, like, I mean, I got real dark. You know, 9/11 had done happened already, and I got real depressed, man. And I just didn't know which way my life was going, bro. And I get a phone call. My mother called me and she said, yo, come downstairs. There's a fax for you. And that fax was the breakdown for Omar Devon Little.
And then Omar was coming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, yo, listen, man. I saved the best for last, even though you are Omar, man. And I don't want to typecast you or whatever, but playing such a villain, such an ill role in The Wire, did you find people in real life thinking like you might be that same guy in real life as Michael?
Yeah, you know, I did go through a situation where actually it got a little dangerous. It was in Chicago, actually. And shout out to my brother Fred Hampton Jr. He came to my defense out there in Chi-Town, man. It got dicey, but some of the drama was they thought that I was really Omar. Like, you know, some situation happened where a young lady, some brothers had threatened to put their hands on a young lady, and that wasn't going to happen on my watch. So yeah, it got a little crazy. So, you know, but yeah, that was one incident. But getting back to the term you said about typecasting, right? So very early on, right after, you know, The Wire was done, you know, I was getting that question, aren't you afraid of being typecasted? And I, you know, a lot of times I had brothers asking me that question, right? And I was like, what the fuck you mean? I said, I'm afraid of not eating, right? This is my gig. You know, do you act white actors? I mean, it's a gig, right? And then I had to think, where's this question coming from? And I realized the same pen they wrote that question with is the same pen they redline our communities with. You know, I'm like, oh, so, you know, it's a thing I'm supposed to disassociate myself from these types of characters. They call them urban characters, right? I'm like, but these are the brothers and sisters I grew up with. Like these are, I know these people. Like these ain't characters to me. These are real human people. These are people's lives that I know that you know. So I started looking. I made a decision early on in my career to not allow Hollywood to stereotype my roles. You know, the Vanderveer is 59 buildings strong. I've seen a lot of people come, and I've seen a lot of people go, and you know, I've seen the string of bad choices that leads someone to thinking that they got no other option, right? So I know they mothers, they aunties, they you know, they sisters, they brothers. These are my peoples. So I made it my business to tell these characters with empathy and compassion and dignity. You may not agree with the choices that my characters make, but you're going to understand, you're going to have some compassion for them. And so I made that my responsibility early on. And there's no such thing as typecasting for me. I don't get to assimilate into nothing else but the Black experience. So that's where I'm at with it.
That is a fact, and that's why we love you, man, because you so real, you so raw with everything you do. You start alongside some serious people. Uh, you know, James Gandolfini. What was that like? He's one of my favorite ever. What was that like working with him?
The scene that I did on Sopranos, I actually never even got to meet him. we was
Well,
the scene I did was when, remember, I don't know if you father remember when Jackie Jr. tried to rob all the bosses and it went wrong and some people ended up getting murdered and he had to hide out. He was actually, I think he was dating Tony's daughter and he had to hide out in the Boonton projects in Jersey. And he went to a brother's house, and that was my character. That
that
was
was your
what,
house. So
yes,
you
sir.
never got to meet James Gandolfini. I met him one time. Shout out Jesse Torrero. He made it possible for me to meet James. I got a picture with him and my son. But you know, this wire, you know, you was in there and you was killing, and you would work with so many guys that was already lit, you know, coming in like Wood Harris,
Yes.
you know, all these guys. Like, how did it feel? Did it feel comfortable? Or you was like, yo, I gotta be as big as these guys? Cause you walked in there, you know, Idris Alba.
Idris Alba, J.D. Williams, Hassan Johnson, Wendell Pierce, Sonia Song. I walked in the set and I was like, "Oh shit!" You know, it was intimidating. You know, I looked up to all these people. I hadn't been watching them on TV when I got to the set, so you know, I was a little intimidated. You know, I just said, I'm, man, I just, you know, Brooklyn, we go hard. You know what I'm saying? You
Now,
know
let
what
me
I'm saying?
tell you something. Let me tell you, in real life, Omar, you know, he exists. Like, you know, that guy, that grimy extortion, Omar's coming, they exist. You know, these the animals we had to deal with coming up in the hood and in the drug game and shit like that. And so your presence was legendary. But I seen you one time uh in an interview where you said when it got to season 3 or 4, you said to yourself, oh, this ain't just about me or how much time I'm getting. There's a bigger picture to this. Could you explain what you meant by that?
Yes, sir. So after season one, it was coming time for season two, and we were getting the scripts, and I started to see that David Simon was taking the storyline, the narrative, to the docks, and was hiring all these white actors. And in my ignorance and small mindedness, I couldn't comprehend that. It looked to me that you're gonna take this great show that black people just made popping, and you're gonna just give it to white people. I thought we were being phased out, and it bothered me. I actually went to David Simon and I asked to have a meeting with him. I asked him to explain this to me, and he chuckled, and you know, he's a man of few words. He said, "Trust me, Michael. If we were to take the storyline right back to the projects in season two, it would make your world seem so small." He said, "Just be patient. Trust me." And I didn't get it. I didn't get it until season three. The way that he started to weave these characters in and the way he was open, letting the storyline, this world breathe. I was like, it humbled me actually, and most importantly, I started realizing the impact it was having in the hood, in the community. The way brothers was running up to me and was like, "My nigga," you know, it felt different. It didn't feel like typical, and I was like, "This is something else." And it humbled me, and it made me realize that I was a very small part of a much larger picture that was being told, man. Made me
And you know,
grateful, actually.
I always tell a story about Derek Jeter. He's my favorite baseball player.
Yes, sir.
And one day I'm in Yankee Stadium and Derek Jeter goes to bat up. And I'm screaming like a groupie. I'm like, number two, you're number one. Number two, you're number one. Like, you know, and everybody's screaming for this guy. He looks up. You know, he had that swag. And there's 60,000 people screaming for him. And then at one point, I look at the crowd and I say, does he think everybody's really here just for Derek Jeter? Because one day he's going to retire and the Yankees go on, the show go on. And so I think what you realized was that if you're blessed enough, we all have a moment in time and we appreciate it, but just know there's a bigger picture. And that's what I heard when you said that. Out of all your roles, what was the one you loved the most to play?
Man, wow. I got a special relationship with really all of my characters, but there's this one little small movie, man, that Emilio Estevez, he wrote it and he directed it. It's called The Public, and it's a story about one of the most unseen and unheard parts of our community, the people from our community that are houseless, that are living on the streets, man. I don't even like to use the word homeless. I refer to them as people from our community who don't have homes. And this film, The Public, is about this part of our community that decide to stand up for themselves and say, you know, you're gonna see us today. You're gonna respect us. We're not just people you could disregard. And it's based on true events. Again, it's called The Public, and I
We
don't
got to
know
check
something
that
about
out.
that
I'm
character.
gonna see it tonight. You know, Luis Guzman,
Yes, sir.
Pachanga came up on here, and he said he just recently did uh, a documentary style where he acted like he was homeless, and he did it over there by Madison Square Garden, by the post office and all that.
hmm
And he said he had signs like, "Do you see me?" And he
hmm
played it like he was homeless, and people ain't know. They thought he was homeless.
I think his
And he
son
said it
Semi
was the
shot
work
that.
he's most proud of, and he's been in a million movies. And that was you know. He said out of everything, it was one old lady was walking up to the post office and said, "I see you," because he had a
Mm,
sign that said,
mm.
"Do you see me? I see you." And he said thousands of people were walking past him every day, and the lady said, "I see you." And he said that was like winning a championship. And you know, when it comes to the people of our community that don't have homes, is it because of mental health, you think? Is it because of drugs? Is it family gave up on them? Some people can't find good work. Like, what do you think? Because I swear to God, man, every single day I drive my car, I look at homeless people in the street, or you know, and I always wonder why. Like I say, why? What made this family? What made his family or her family give up on them? Why are they in this position?
You know, Joe, that's every scenario that you mentioned just now. It's actually all of the above. It's all of the above. It's can't find a job, the house burned down, there are all types of ways that people slip through the cracks and end up in that predicament. Um, And there's no one way that someone ends up on the streets. It's everything you said. So there's someone out there that right now that is in that situation for one of those reasons. But I'm gonna tell you something. What I do know, they all want to be seen. There was a point in my life that, before, I remember that I used to be one of those people that would just, stuff my leftover change from Whole Foods in a motherfucker cup and keep it moving. And after the public, I started to take the time. God bless you.
Thank you, bro.
I started to take the time to see people, and I would do things like what's up, brother? What's up, sister? What's your name, man? How you feeling today? I would take the time to see people and ask them their name, ask them how they feel. And then I would, brother, sister, you stay safe before I give them anything. I've had times when I've just taken the time to speak to people and say, man, I ain't got nothing right now. This one brother said, I don't give a shit because you spoke to me from your heart. That was right there on Brooklyn Avenue under the BQE. I'll never forget that. The feeling that made me feel. I've had a sister, man, Spanish sister. She was on Clifton Street. Her name is Christina, right? I thought she was crossing the street with a walker, but she was actually coming up to my driver's side, right? And she said she asked me for some help. I talked to her, right? I put something in her hand, and she gonna tell me, bro, with tears in her eyes, this the first time all day that anyone showed her love. It was 3 o'clock in the motherfucking afternoon. That thing touched my heart so much. So there's all multiple reasons why people are on the street. I can't speak to that, but what I can speak to, they all want to be seen. They all just want to feel like they matter. Just acknowledge them, ask them their name. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, it's a complex situation, because I used to hustle. You know what I'm saying? And I was in the streets, and I fight myself because when I pull off on the highway, I ain't gonna lie, I got a pocket full of money, right? And these guys, they look like they getting high, and they asking for money, and I always had a rule that if I think they getting high, I'm not gonna give them no money because I know where they going to use the money. But I've always felt conflicted, even about my approach, because I'm like, damn, man, like, and so what I have given to homeless people, I've given them food rather than just giving them money, But it's something I got to deal with internally.
I feel you on that, right? I feel you on that because I was there with it too one time, and I got to the point where I said, something, if it's on my heart to give someone something, I have no right to tell them what to do with it. And for someone who did used to get high like that, because never for the grace of God, that could have been me out there on Houston Street, on Delancey Street. Shout out to my brother and sisters over there by the Bowery. That could have easily have been me. I ain't gonna fake that fun. I ain't hold you up with that. That could have been me. So I know what it was like. We just want that one more. Sometimes, if they are going to get high, that might be the thing that take them up the street. That might be that the $20 you get them to get that next one might be the time that they don't go and trick and get their neck slit open or rob somebody, get their brains blown out. That, I just said, if I give it, I give it. I say a little prayer for them in my heart, and I don't judge what they do. That's once it leaves my hand, that's not my responsibility or my business to tell them what to do with it.
Yeah, man. And I know you're doing a lot for the community. Talk to us to the thing you're doing with the youth.
Crew count, you dig? Yo, yo. All right. So, real quick, right? I just want to just start up from here. One time I was doing an interview, Joe, and I forget what the question was or how we got to this topic, but the narrative was about getting out, and I was like, wait a minute, how come we always got to get out? Everything that you and I, brothers like me and you, were taught to do, Joe, we are taught to do it with the notion, with this underlayer of making it out. Get an education so we can get out. Get a good job so we can get out. Become a famous entertainer or athlete so we can get our mama out. Get out, get out, get out. Where the fuck is we going? Where's we going, bro? How come once we make it, we are told and conditioned to leave the very same community that made us who we are? We take all our resources, all our gold, all our jewels, and we take it out the community. So it came a point where I started asking myself, where are my breadcrumbs? What am I leaving in my community? How am I tethering myself and to the community? And what message am I leaving the next generation? Or when you get a certain tax bracket, you got to leave the community. So, over the years, man, I started doing. Me and my nephew. Shout out to my nephew Dominic DuPont. He did 21 years, right? And he's home now. You know what I'm saying? And we have this documentary called "Raised in the System," and one day I had been invited to the White House to talk about criminal justice reform, and I was first I was geeking because I got invited to the White House, and then I started to tweet because I was like, "What the fuck am I doing here? I don't know shit about criminal justice, right?" And so someone sitting in the room was like, he saw me like sweating, like having fucking palpitations and shit, and motherfucker said, "Yo, Mike, relax. It's the people closest to the problem that are usually the ones closest to the solution." And then my light bulb went off, and so I left the White House. And by the way, it was when President Obama was in office, and I left and I was like, damn,
I
Mike.
ain't get an invite, man. I definitely had my ruby red dancing shoes, but I never got invited. I wanted to go.
Man, I never been invited to the parties neither, man. Don't feel bad, bro. I want to go to one of the damn birthday parties. I ain't never been neither. But we was there for like 10. It was about a 20-minute meeting. He had to leave, but after there, I started looking at my life and the people in my community, and like, damn, how come everybody in my hood always making these types of choices? Like, what's up with that? Like, and so I took it to the producers at Viceland, and I said, yo, what is this? And they said, well, how old were your friends and family when they first started going in the system? And we figured out they were all minors. These motherfuckers looked at me and said, oh, that sounds like the school to prison pipeline. And I'd never heard that sentence before. I thought the what, the where, the what? Like, what the fuck you mean a school to prison and there's a pipeline? Like, how does this, what is that? That shit, it blew my mind. I'd never heard that before. So this Raised in the System documentary is me going on a quest to find out what is the school to prison pipeline, how it works, and which community does it affect, right? So after it was on HBO, after all of that aired and after they did the rollout and everything was over, I looked at my nephew and I was like, yo, nephew, you ready? He was like, yes, sir, Unc. And we rolled up our sleeves and we kept the momentum going by going into the hood, and we kept screening this thing. We wanted people to keep seeing it, so we keep the dialogue going. Like, our first screening was in Red Hook Projects, right? So we met up with this young lady. She's from Staten Island. Her name is Dana Racklin. She has an organization called NYC Together, and she kind of like, she helped us fill out the screenings. Like, she created this panel, diverse panel of like law enforcement and people like myself and you and youth from the community who have been touched by the system. And we would give the mic to the people in the community in the rooms, and she would fill the room with mostly like law enforcement officers and politicians, because I was like, why you always filling the room with these people? She goes, Mike, everybody in the hood know what this documentary is about. We need to educate these motherfuckers on what they're doing, going on, and how they're affecting people, the youth in the community. So that went on, and I was fine with just doing these. We screened this doc about 150 times, from everywhere from Rikers Island to NYU and everything in between. So when COVID hit, obviously that all got shut down, and the first thing that she and I did, I realized that I needed to double down with the work that I was doing with her, and I had the time to do it, right? So when we found out that the budget for the school summer youth employment program got cut for COVID, we raised funds. We raised funds. We wanted $150, but we got 80 grand, and we hired 45 high school kids, and we socially distanced them in Brooklyn, in Brownsville, and we asked them, we paid them to come up with ideas and campaigns about how to socially distance in the hood and what does public safety look like and for them in our community. Because if you remember, it was a lot of shit, a lot of fuckery going on with the police, you know, body slamming kids in the hood for social. They was body slamming kids in the hood and giving out summonses and free masks in Central Park.
Free
It was
mask
like,
in Central Park. I say this all the time.
remember that shit?
You know, I hired a couple kids too. Shout out to Erica Ford, my girl. She be in the streets.
Yes, life camp. Yo, her birthday coming soon. Don't tell nobody. We gotta wish her happy birthday.
Now we gotta wish Erica's my girl.
Yes,
and so she be in the streets, and she was like, "Yo, Joe, you gotta hire some of these guys. You know, some of you." And then they at risk. They gang members, but they came in my store. They worked. They were the nicest, hardest working people in the world, and they just looking for something to look up to, something to do, man. So we did the same thing over in my stores, you know, to encourage the youth.
We have to. But
one thing about
something I just want to just touch on something you just said. Right? I'm not gonna cut your wisdom, but thank you for acknowledging, you know, our gang members in our community. I'm not saying that I condone the violence and the banging, but let's face it, it takes all hands on deck, and you know, everybody's voice matters, bro. And if we could all come together to find out how to save the next generation of our youth, I'm down to work with any and everybody. So I thank you for acknowledging, you know, our gang. Let's call it our gang culture in the community, because at the end of the day, man, everybody just want to feel a part of something. Everybody want to feel a part of something.
You know, I just look at all of us as human. You know,
yes,
especially
sir.
brown and black people. I look at us as one. I look at us as, you know, how much do we truly need, right? So if we can spread knowledge, you know, stuff like this show, there's a reason why me and you talking about real shit, you know, because you in your mind and me in my mind are hoping that if there's just one kid out there that needed this conversation and they could turn it around and bump into one of us 10 years from now and be like, yo, you remember y'all talked on that IG? I listened and I changed my life around. It's so important. And you're right. A lot of us become successful and we dream about getting out of the hood. We dream. I like the finest things in life, Mike. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm addicted to the fly shit. Know what I'm saying?
Me too.
But I want to bring my people with me, man. No, real talk. I want to open businesses in the hood, right? And give them jobs. And I don't call them my employees. They're my business partners. Because I tell them all, yo, I want y'all to own your own business one day. I want y'all to own your own homes one day. I don't look at them as employees. I give them that importance to let them know that they're special, that they're great. At the same time, you know, we don't want to point our fingers at nobody, but
no, we don't.
Our people, they make it and they gone, and we never see them again, right? And so what's right, what's wrong? I have two different theories about it, right? Big L got killed on his own block. Jam J got killed on his own block. You know how this go. And unfortunately, no matter how great you are and how celebrated you are around the world, chances are
Nipsey Hussle.
Chances are they'll kill you in your own hood. So Fat Joe, you think the Bronx, you like this Fat Joe. We got to go see Fat Joe. But most likely Fat Joe will die in the Bronx faster than he'll die in Brooklyn. Don't know why. And I don't know why we've been trained as a people to get mad at our own people who are successful. So now you might have a sister went and got a corporate job. So now we complaining that they don't know how we living in the hood, or they don't help us, and they don't get permission. So you get a sister, and she's a president of the corporate thing. Then we criticize her like she sold out. Or we get a Jay-Z, he's a billionaire. Oh no, these guys are, bro, we gotta learn how to encourage our winners and uplift our people and not point a finger at our people. You understand? It's just it's a very complicated thing we talking about, but unfortunately it's there. You know, unfortunately, you know, somebody gets successful, everybody's mad at them. Somebody, you know, I heard the weirdest story, right? So there's a young lady, and I hope I'm not talking too much, but I'm not gonna say her name. But there's a young lady, she's like AOC. She loves AOC, progressive. She's went to college. She's, you know, hardworking girl. And she's like AOC. She's like AOC's #1 support. And then one day she posts that she bought a house, right? And the people that she goes with to the progressive shit and all that start getting mad at her and says, yo, you're a landlord now. You're a landlord. You're not you're not one of us. You're a landlord. And so we got to learn how to stop criticizing our people when we do become successful. And also, you're right. Stop running away from the hood. Because when you do come back, it might not look like your old hood no more.
I want to speak, and you're right, Joe, about you know, man, we're dealing with 400 years of being conditioned of how to hate ourselves and hate each other. You know, like
There you go.
how are we able how are we able right now in our culture to kill somebody that looks exactly like us? We find it so easy to in our culture. That's not by accident. We got here on purpose. There was systems and things put in play to get to beat us down so much that, you know, there's an old saying, man, that hurt people hurt people. And I'm not, and you're right. I don't know what it's going to take. I do know what it's going to take. It's going to take love
And
on a
so
consistent
you're
basis.
right. And so when you tell me shout out to Clark Kent, Brooklyn's own, and so when you're Brooklyn's finest to me.
Sure.
So but when you go back to your question, right? When you told me, Joe, I'm glad you said gang members. I really don't look at them as gang members. Even though they're gang members and they'll tell you we gangs, I look at them as my brothers and my sisters, and I wish we could look past colors or ideologies and just know that's my brother, that's my cousin. Because some of these guys banging, they're cousins on the different sides of the gang. And it's like, if we could teach everybody, which is hard, we talking about some shit that is hard, to think past that and think past being impulsive and think and say, yo, I love, you know, this is my cousin, or I love that brother there. I don't know him yet. I know it's hard for young people to do, but we got to start teaching them more, just like you're doing, more and more younger. Because, you know, it's always when you get your age, I get my age, that we want to talk positivity to everybody. In the hood, there's always the OG, the former gang member who turned back and said after doing 20 years, yo, chill. It's always been like that. But we need to talk to these younger kids while they're young and instill morals to them and let them know that they're kings and queens. It's very important, man. I love the work you're doing. My brother, I love you. I thank you for coming on here.
Bro, please, because I just want to just end what you just said just now, because this is the goal right here, right? What you said is 100% right. You know, about our youth, about activating them, right? That's what this is all about. This crew cut right here. But this is what I came up here to really talk about, right? So, you know, knowledge is power, and when we know better, we do better, right? And there's been a time. For a time now, we fell for the okie doke. We got bamboozled and hogwashed, right? You know, by some things that went down, and we fallen into this culture of how easy we find it to hurt each other, right? But if we once we know better, we do better, right? So for instance, there was back when Bloomberg was in office, he started a program called Operation Crew Cut. And what this did was this expanded the gang database to like 30, 40,000 names, unbeknownst to us in the community, right? So you like say if you come to visit your grandmother and she live in my building and I'm gang affiliated, you don't know me, you don't even know that I live in your grandmother's building, but they stop and frisk you, which is highly probable because you're Latina and you male, they are going to put your name on the gang database. And then after that, that gives them permission to survey you without you even knowing your name was on this list. This has been going on since the Bloomberg administration, and it's still going on now. So what we did was we started Operation Crew Count, right? And what we're doing is we're going to the same blocks that are over-policed, right, and underserviced, and we telling our youth, bro, this is what the fuck is going down. Right, you like we activating this mind up in here, bro, giving them the information, and we're letting them know this is how you could, like, bro, we don't gotta wait for them to come and fix our community, that they can be the change that they want to see, right? So we're activating them. I'm not telling these youngers to do what I say, or I ask them, how would you like to see change? Well, this is the way it goes. This is the way change can happen. And we're going around and we've been throwing these block parties, right? The movement is called We Build the Block. And what we do is we let law enforcement know what we're doing, but we also tell them to stand down, right? And we go and we get all the OGs and the people and the the leaders in the community, and we hire them to make sure that there's peace on the block, right? We bring in marching bands, free food, and the youth run everything. We give them the budget and we put them up there and we give them the information. We don't endorse nobody. We don't let nobody come and run their mouth, right? It's all about the youth, and the only requirement to get on into the block party is that you got to just get registered to vote. Stop by the table, let the youth talk to you, let them share the knowledge of what they've been given, and it's all run by them, and it's been very successful. We've done 4 so far. Now,
how do they get the info, Mike? How do they get that info?
Bro, you could go on Instagram and just log on to either We Build the Block or Crew Count NYC. Any one of those
NYC
handles.
or We Build the Block. God
Yes,
bless
sir.
you, my brother. I love you, man. You've been incredible for us, man. I appreciate you, man. It was very big for me getting you in here, man, because I've been wanting you here for a while. You the realest, and I thank you, my brother. I love you, my brother, and stay with the Knicks. I know you grew up in Brooklyn. Don't go to that Nets. Don't go to the Nets. Bobby Smurda already went to the Nets, man. Stay with my Knicks, man.
I think Spike over there too. I don't know.
Nah, Spike ain't over there, man. He with us, man. I love you, Mike. Stay up,
too,
bro.
Joe. I'm gonna see you in Miami, my brother.
I'm with you. I'll see you in a couple of days.
No doubt, bro.
God bless.
King. God bless.
Man, that was a long